Hi, I'm Danielle, the domestic scientist, and today I'm joined by my husband.
Hi, it's Josh.
All right, and today we are going to do the first part of our living room makeover series. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, we have an open floor plan home and we have a living room, dining room, office, entryway, and bar area that is all open to each other. Now, the other thing that we have to take into consideration is that we have a cherry wood floor and we have a huge wall of windows and a lot of natural light. So we are trying to find a paint color that is really going to make this home look more modern, but we want something that we can both enjoy, that's going to look good in all types of lighting, and that's going to look good across our entire home. So let's get started. So I thought that it would be really good to have a nice light bright gray color in the space, because I know people right now with home trends are moving towards having a lot of whites, especially those people who like the contemporary farmhouse and more of the minimal style. So I thought that might, be a good thing to do.
And that just wasn't for me. I just didn't think that for our type of house, the style of our house, I thought that a darker gray was more sophisticated. It had a luxury feel to it. And I just thought the lighter gray was just they were too
So
white.
you don't think the darker gray is a bit overdone right now?
No, I think if you look at some luxury houses, some high-end houses, I don't see a lot of light grays there. I see a statement piece, a statement gray. Everyone knows the walls are gray. They're dark, they're bold, they're eye-catching.
So you didn't want like a chameleon gray where it's really light and maybe it could be a gray or it could be a white. You just wanted something really dark and dramatic. So my concern for that is that we have darker couches. So I didn't want a paint that was so dark plus a dark couch. Typically when people do a dark dramatic wall, they have light furniture. And from practical purposes, I'm not buying light furniture because I know I'm going to spill something on it, or a guest is going to spill something on it. So I didn't want to do all that. So I thought that lighter would be better because it would have more contrast. And so that's really where a lot of our debates got started, because we didn't even really want the same thing.
No. So we went to Sherwin-Williams, and there were just so many colors. What did you think?
Well, I thought there were a lot of colors too. And honestly, when you see it sitting like this, you can't tell one color from the next. All of them look the same. You don't know which one is the modern one, which one isn't. I don't know.
They all look good in that light.
That's true.
They all look, the cards, the swatches, I don't know what it's called, they all look like the perfect color. But when you bring it home, it's completely different.
Well, I think so. What we decided to do, because we didn't want the same thing, is he picked up colors that he liked. I picked up colors I liked, and then we said we're just gonna put them up in the house and then kind of start eliminating ones that we hated. So like if he picked up something he liked and I hated it, we're just gonna eliminate it. Like that was kind of our first strategy.
And I thought it was a good strategy. We were able to paint the walls.
Because he vetoed my ideas last time.
Yeah.
So we did a bathroom renovation project. It was a small one, and I had ideas that he vetoed. So I thought, this might be a good way to kind of be more diplomatic in it.
So we picked up a lot of cards.
A lot of cards. It was overwhelming because now I'm like, okay, this is a whole lot of cards. So then we had to figure out a way to eliminate.
Yeah, so we developed this very complex decision tree and algorithm.
It was not that. It was like he vetoed the ones he hated, and then he just took the cards for the ones he hated, and I took the ones from the ones that I hated that he put up.
And we were left with these final few, the last set of colors. It's a good mixture. It's light and dark. Some are blue, some are real dark grays. So I thought it was a good.
Well, I think what it did is it forced us to pick more mid-tone colors, because you eliminated almost immediately everyone that you thought was too light. And then I just went through and the ones that were too dark. He did have Urbane Bronze up there. I think it's because it was the 2021 color of the year and you saw it and felt like, oh, this is the color. Right?
I thought it was nice. I thought it was a true gray.
It is very green,
and it did have a little bit of green, but I thought it would show as a gray.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I have been reading and watching some videos about undertones, and so I knew it had a strong green undertone. And where I'm scared of green undertones, we have red floors. Yes. So I don't want it to look like a Christmas tree in the house at all times. Now, just spoiler alert, at some point we're going to show you the kitchen. When I say Christmas tree, we have red and green going on in the kitchen, and that's why you've never seen it to this point.
It does not look good.
It brings shame to me.
Yeah. We have to record that.
That's another
after the
video. That's another
renovation.
video. But anyway, so we're just trying to make sure that we get something. And at first, I couldn't really see the undertones either. Like, I mean, they just all look like paints. But then the crazy thing happened when we got them in the house.
Yes, so we went ahead and put them on the walls. We painted a few of the colors. We labeled them, and we watched it. We watched it throughout the day. We saw how the colors changed with the different lighting. And I will say that these colors look completely different at night as opposed to in the day.
Well, okay, so one of the things that, first of all, before we even get into that, yes, the lighting changes the way it looks, but we got those Valspar paint samples from, I want to say, Lowe's, and I didn't care for it because it's a paint.
Valspar,
yeah,
not good.
It's not a one coat because I could tell that all the colors change. So when you see the sample chip and then you see the paint on the wall, I don't know. Stuff is looking purple over here, and I was like, this isn't it. I don't know.
Well,
I really didn't like any of the colors once I put them on the wall.
Let's just say this.
Like, I was in pure depression right now.
Until we get sponsored, Valspar did not meet our expectations. Now, you may have to edit this video in the future if Lowe's and Valspar want to sponsor. Then
yeah, because I'm just saying. So at this point, here's the problem. I feel very discouraged. When we started putting samples on the wall, I was like super, super discouraged. First of all, because it didn't look the same color on the wall as it did on the chip or really on the top of the little cap or whatever. I didn't like it. And so at this point, I felt like there was no gray. I couldn't see gray anymore. I saw undertones. I saw blues. I saw greens. I saw purple. I didn't see any gray anymore, and I think that is like where I hit the brick wall of trying to pick the right color and trying to dig into the color theory and do everything that the experts are telling you you're supposed to do to pick the right color. And one of the other reasons why I think it's a problem is because nobody is talking about, for real, the color with your flooring. And we got red floors, so I don't know, like some people say, oh, you want to go with something with a little more green in it to balance it out. Well, it just looked too green. And then, like, do I want like a blue undertone with a red floor? Because now we're all in the patriotic look, and then there's purple, but do you really want purple and red? Like, I was overwhelmed, and I would say that's the thing that killed me. And then the worst thing is it was really overcast too. So we didn't have a lot of yellow sunlight certain days. And so it was just the lighting, just the natural lighting was playing games. And then, of course, the artificial lighting didn't help. So, yeah.
So we ended up narrowing it down to our top two.
Well, okay. That's not how it happened. That's not how it happened. Okay, I'm just going to tell you. I was at my wit's end. I was like ready to pull my hair out because I was like so sick of paint color. And we had started putting up the primer, and I needed to actually get paint color. And so I just said, you know what, I don't like anything that I'm seeing. I don't like the way anything looks in the house. So forget trying to overdo it with the theory. I'm just going to Google the most universal gray shades and pick one of those. And so that's how I narrowed it down to agreeable gray, which is kind of has some tan. It's like a grayish color. And then repose gray. And so those are the two that we wind up picking. But even in doing that, we had to think about the darker areas of our home. Like, we have these high ceilings in the hallway that leads upstairs. There's no overhead lighting in this section. So I don't want something that's going to make this hall look even darker. And the office doesn't have overhead lighting, and I don't want the paint to look even darker over here. So even everything that you thought was too light, I felt like, well, maybe in the living room it would feel too light, but maybe not in the office or the dining room. So I just decided, you know what, let's stick with one of those two colors. And that's, yeah.
So at this point, I was frustrated, and I just said, go ahead and just choose a color. I'm going to start priming and just come back home with the color.
So I just said, okay, let me go with one of the expert colors. And all the colors that he was picking in the store were a lot cooler, and the colors I was picking was a little bit warmer because I just felt like, okay, I have red floors, I need to go with warmer paint. So I was leaning towards agreeable gray because that's like the universal most popular color that Sherwin-Williams sells. And but I decided to go with the second most popular color, which is repose gray, because he did like the colors with a little bit bluer. And in some of the areas it did wash out a little bit when the full sun was in the room, but I know it's not going to be fully sunny all the time. So I wanted repose, he did not. So then we had to come up with another compromise. I said, well, if we do repose, because he thinks it's too light, I asked them if they could do it 25% darker. And then in some areas where I had less light, I went in with a different concentration of repose gray. So next week we are going to do another progress video, and we'll show you kind of the different variations of repose gray that we got and kind of where it's going along the house, and let you see kind of where the progress is going.
So we
yeah.
ended up with 3 different variations. So you'll see, was it a negative 25?
So it's like 75%, and then 100%.
True 100%.
And then 125%
yes.
pigmentation level. So that was kind of how we compromised, and hopefully that works out. But the majority of the house is the darker repose color. And so now primer's been going up on the walls, color is going up. So next week, if you guys come back, you will see our progress that we have made so far. So I'm Danielle, the domestic scientist, and I thank my husband Josh for coming out today, and we hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next week.